for game number 3. We're going to be leaning on Orderus here to be that huge catalyst, to be able to spear tip that team into victory. And he's also going to be piloting that Raze this time around.
Yeah, I like seeing them stick on Raze. I think that worked out in their favor. I mean, definitely early on in Ascent. Towards the back half, we already talked about Som had a few struggles at the end. That final play for them to lose Ascent and lose that second map was just a little bit too late on the flash, or else maybe he could have made something happen. I do love seeing dephh stick on Killjoy. I think for the most part, the Killjoy pick has been really good for them. And then we see Orderus switch to Raze here, which I think is really good. Almost, it's very close to being a mirror match, but you're just seeing brax going back onto Cypher, and you're just seeing Dignitas only making that one switch onto Raze, but almost a mirror match like we saw in map 1.
Yeah, and now we get to see. So Spyder, no longer dedicated smokes, is going to be playing that Raze. So we'll get to see, just how good that combat score that we talked about can be, now being on a duelist and just being utilize is not the word. I can't think of the word. My small play-by-play brain can't bring it together. It'll come back to me eventually. But now that there's just some backing behind it, he's on a duelist. He can have himself a game. AZK going to be taking over for those smokes, and we are getting ready to get underway. I was going to say no pauses, but we still have a few seconds before we jump actually into the gameplay. But it's going to be Dignitas mounting their defense against T1, just as we saw in that last map. It is Dignitas who has the higher win percentage here on Bind, but it is both teams coming into this one 1-1. As that bolt does spot out brax, feels a little awkward trying to get around, and he answers right back. He says, hey, you can know where I'm at. I'm still finding shots. Supamen goes down, and that opens things up for this attacking side. They're going to have to go back and pick up the spike, but the man advantage for T1.
I like seeing the aggression here, or I like seeing a little bit more of the passive play by T1 right here, where they're just really kind of waiting to feel it out. Do we go long B? Do we force that B push just a little bit? They're one down, so we know they probably only have two defenders on each side. But now you're starting to see the Reyna rotate over from Dignitas, which is a really great play, knowing they're probably going over to B. Is this a bait? Are they just leaving a lurker over there? Decides to go over and defend that, and now you see the full rotation over onto B site, which is a great job by Dignitas to put themselves in the right position to defend this with two lurkers right now going through the teleporter. Now they're switching over to A site. T1 mixing things up, so now we have to see the other rotation by Dignitas, but that was a great job by Dignitas forcing them somewhere else.
Yeah, and Bind is that map that is just incredibly awkward, right? With those teleporter plays to come through, everybody leaving this A side as that satchel goes out, and it's not able to stop the plan. So that spike goes down, and now Dignitas down a player. Need to try and figure this one out. Som looking to clear his corners the best he can. dephh on a very long flank here is the journey through Mordor to try and find brax, but brax gets the better half of the trade. You can't ask for more than that as MAKKA trades it back, but it's all red in this round. It's all T1. As now it's all up to Som, and sure, it's a pistol round. Anything's possible, especially when you're Reyna. But days to find the last kill, and I think brax 14 HP for the entirety of that round after finding the kill onto Supamen. He finds another, and now he's spear tipping this team once more. It's only the first round, but I mean, what more can you ask from none other than brax?
I mean, you're seeing that momentum from the last round, or from the last map, coming over into map 3, right? Like we saw him almost the entire time in map 2. He started off a little rough, but then was strong, kept making play after play. And you see that come into map 3, winning that pistol round, getting the early pick, and then getting a kill off of that really long flank that we talked about by dephh, and dropping dephh right there. That's a big play by brax as Spyder takes down Orderus. Another great play by Spyder, and Orderus going down early again for Dignitas.
Yeah, and granted, this is a round that you can kind of, sweep under the rug. You maybe want to forget about this one, as it is going to be an eco to come through. But, I mean, these sheriffs, you put them in the right hands, and they can obviously get heaps done. Unfortunately, nothing there for Som. He was able to trade a bit of damage, but takes quite a bit on the way out. Now, that Reyna can heal up, but it's going to be hard to do so. This is something that we also saw in the last game. in both teams being able to do this. Play slow when it matters. Play slow. You don't have to play this the opposition side, right? These tight corners is where this eco buy is going to pay off. So T1 doing their due diligence, making sure they can clear everything out here as dephh queued up right behind the box. Is going to creep forward and unfortunately going to get stung by the Spyder there with a stinger in hand. MAKKA is able to trade it back, but it's only one member dead. It is now a sheriff in his hands, no longer a ghost. 4 HP. Creeping out of elbow is Psalm. He's able to find one. There's the overheal to come through, but it's a 1v3. Psalm finds another, will heal off of that. There is no way that Psalm is able to get this done here. It's a 1v2. It's the Reyna, so nobody better to do it. He needs 2 more flick shots. He peeks away towards long and unfortunately will be shot in the back. And the round that I said might be swept under the rug, they made me almost eat my words there.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, a couple of big picks by Psalm right there. You know, we talked about it. Map 2, it was a little rough for him. Obviously coming out a little bit stronger in map 3. But right now, T1 is playing their game. We've seen this. We saw this on map 1, though. We saw this on map 2. They do really well in those first 2 rounds. And then whenever you get closer to, you know, more of a half buy, full buy rounds, that's where Dignitas starts to gain a little bit of momentum. So we're going to see here in this round 3, does Dignitas take this 3rd round like we've seen them do in the other maps before, or can T1 continue to put pressure on them, continue to play smart, communicate, and stop Dignitas right here to go up 3-0 early on?
And this is, again, a bonus round. T1 not on the best arsenal as they are hanging on to some of the guns that they had before. Dignitas finding themselves on those full rifles and on defense no less. So need to come up huge as Psalm looks to peek aggressively. The spike in the hands of AZK, looking to creep up towards B long, and the shots come down. So they know at the very least one is here, but he's just buying a bit of attention. Skadoodle maybe looking to swing should AZK spot anything. Brax going to be forced away by the satchel charges and the boombot, but it's been pretty quiet across the map. We may see some action though, leaning over towards this A site. Spyder looking to peek. dephh holding the angles. The paranoia queued up. They're going to be traded back and forth down towards A shore, and there's dephh finding the angle. He's able to ADS and find the kill. Spyder's able to trade it back though, with the paint shells to come through, and DaZeD goes huge with the Hunter's Fury. dephh finding 2 before being traded, and it was just an awkward fight back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's Orderus now with the Bulldog in hand, and this Bulldog bites. It's 2 kills. It's stopping the plant, but now it's a 1v1. Skadoodle on low HP. As he looks to peek around, MAKKA has been the clutch, and he will be the clutch once more for Dignitas.
That's such a close round for both of those teams, but what did it end up? What ended up being the difference for this team? The difference ended up being dephh, Orderus, and MAKKA, just like we've seen before. And every time we come into a round 3, it seems like the 3 of them step up, and MAKKA again finishes it off just like he did in round 3 of map 2. Dignitas in a good spot now. It looks like a little bit of a half buy, a little bit of a lighter buy, and then T1's in a good spot too, though. T1 ahead, two rounds to 1, but Dignitas, this is where they start to snowball a little bit. But you saw in that last round how evenly matched these teams are. It just comes down to hit the shot for each of these teams, because not one team isn't getting a huge advantage over the other one.
Yeah, and a huge round there, peeking towards B long, and again, it was an awkward buy from T1. They didn't have, you know, the best weapons to deal with that push, but it was Psalm to kick things off, and then it was Orderus finds another with the Bulldog and the paint shells as they were all stacked up. Now the blades come through. Skadoodle goes huge. He finds 2 and a bit of damage on the way out. Now we find ourselves in a 2v2 where Orderus is forced to use the showstopper, tries the satchel charge away, but Spyder finds the kill. Now dephh on full HP. It can easily be a 1v1 should he find something down onto Skadoodle, but the teleporter comes through, and the last remaining 2 for T1 will head over towards A. That boombot sent down the Molotov to come through as well. Not going to get too much. Now here's the showstopper coming out for Spyder, and he's doing what he does best. He's making plays as T1 find another round. How awkward is it that we've seen rounds start so heavily one-sided and then just get flipped on their heads?
I mean, it started with that play by Skadoodle right there, but I mean, look, I feel like somebody texted Spyder in between these maps and talked and told him what we were saying about him before. Yeah. Spyder, we promise, don't take your anger out on Dignitas. We didn't mean anything by it, but he's stepping up huge for his team right now. This isn't a just Spyder's in the middle. What does this mean for T1? This is Spyder is stepping way above where he normally plays right now, making huge plays for T1, and that's been the difference in about half of these rounds right now, especially in that last round for Spyder. Big right there, dropping Orderus early on in the round. Now T1 is up 5-3 after Skadoodle takes down MAKKA.
Yeah, and it's all starting to fall apart. I do believe this was a low economy round for Dignitas, but either way, it's T1 really getting comfortable in that driver's seat here in that I think it's a BMW for T1, but not comfortable as far as credits, as far as guns, as far as confidence on this attacking side. You see those flicks come through, and although again on pistols, AZK peeking up towards short. When you shoot somebody in the head, they just die, no matter if they have pistols, no matter if they have rifles. So we're really starting to see this team start to piece things together as a whole and just get settled in. They're finding their comfortability. And I think T1 has been getting so much hate across the board in having some awkward games or some awkward plays in former tournaments. Now slowly starting to figure it out here in this one, and there's no better time to do it than the close qualifiers to try and queue yourself up for that first strike tournament, as dephh is able to get one with the nano swarm. And that's what you get for keeping things spicy. You mix things up, you place these nano swarms in different areas, and you catch people off guard.
I like seeing these decisive plays by T1, knowing exactly where they want to go, how they want to set up, and they're so patient with it. They're waiting. They know somebody's probably got eyes on Hookah right now. They know that somebody's going to be watching and has oversight on them, but they're being really, really patient. They're waiting to smoke out. You're going to see them smoke, you're going to see them smoke the hallway right now. They're going to smoke elbow in just a second, and they're playing this really, really smart as brax takes down dephh right there. They're waiting for Dignitas to come to them. They're forcing Dignitas to lose patience, and they're just being this is where the experience of playing together comes through.
Yep, absolutely. As the kills start to come through, brax finally able to get back on the board, but Psalm will not be silenced. It's all up to brax, who had a carry performance in the last, but with 14 HP. Will be halted and sat down where he stands on this B side. Dignitas, some way, somehow, they managed to grab a round back, and it took some awkward rounds back and forth between these two. We should see another rifle round coming out. dephh, the only one looking to be a bit low on funds, so he'll probably grab what he can. But T1, we talked about them coming back in, finding their groove, and then it starts to fall apart. I feel like that slow play style, that's not where you want to be, because, you know, again, you get caught a little bit complacent. Psalm's going to take advantage. Orderus is going to take advantage. dephh is going to find these kills, remaining not complacent, which I think is the opposite of complacent there. Now the Hunter's Fury to come through and may just find a bit of information as they spot one towards short. But T1, got to keep your head on a swivel here. You're up 2 rounds, but this could easily be swung in the favor of Dignitas here in just a couple of rounds.
See, I don't mind the slow play by T1 on that last round. They just need to hit their shots and set up in the right spots because they had the gun advantage. But now, losing that last round, you give Dignitas a little bit more of a cushion. You give them a little bit more momentum going into this, and now you're seeing T1 have to pull back and play even more passive. This is the kind that the reactionary passive play is where you get yourself in trouble. Now, they plant the spike right here, but they're still at a disadvantage, and they've got Omen low on health. This is a tough spot for T1 and should be a fairly easy retake for Dignitas.
Yeah, a very poor positioning there of that lockdown. I guess you don't get too much as Skadoodle in the corner. He's able to spray for 2 on the way out, and now low HP on 2 members for both teams. The Omen and the Sova. dephh gonna peek one, gonna try and take him down, but it's AZK with 20 HP. He finds the kill. And now it's the low HP Sova, who has since been spotted out. I don't think there's a way that Dignitas get back in this one. What a turnaround once more. And I said earlier, who better than brax? But in that round, who better than Skadoodle? Going down, and he dies on the sword here with this spray, able to take 2. Absolutely huge.
I mean, dephh going down right there to AZK was a big swing in the right direction for T1. With AZK was low health, dephh peeks around the corner, AZK drops dephh, and now they put Dignitas back on their heels. I feel like I'm bad luck because every time I break down, this is what they should do, this is what they shouldn't do, they do that, it looks like they're gonna win, and then the other team just starts hitting shots. But that's what it boils down to. That's what it always comes down to. Who can make the plays? And T1 made the right plays right there. Skadoodle with the spray, AZK at low health getting a dropping dephh right there. It's all about making those little plays, and all the communication and all of the movement in the world can't save you from somebody just hitting the shots like Skadoodle and Spyder just did early on right now.
Yeah, and Dignitas have fallen in this paradox of just being stuck in a buy round and eco round, a buy round and eco round, and they just can't get out. You have to string a few rounds together, and it hasn't been that. Their wins are spaced out, I think, by 2-round losses. So it's a flawless round. It was an eco for Dignitas. Now they're going to get a buy. The economy for both teams, obviously it's better in favor of T1. As you did see, brax was a little bit lower on credits, but for the next couple of rounds, should Dignitas be able to grab some wins, T1 are going to be okay. On the inverse, if T1 continues to put this whooping on Dignitas, it's gonna go right back to an eco round. So it's almost like if you lose a rifle round, you're almost guaranteed to lose 2 in a row. So Dignitas, they need to start to string it together at the very least, if not for the game, for the economy here, to then try and win that game, because you don't want to have to try and put your all your efforts into that eco round to be the way that you finally start to come back in.
No, and this is what I was concerned about for Dignitas coming into this map 3. They gave T1 so much momentum at the end of map 2 and gave them all the confidence in the world. And T1, yes, they've lost a couple of rounds, but for the most part, they're moving and they're talking really well together. There I go, jinxing them again as Psalm takes out DaZeD. But still, I mean, it's a 5v4. T1's been making good decisions, and you can see that momentum from map 2 swing into map 3. Even though this is a dig map, T1 knows how to play it. They know how to hit the shots, and they've got the players, and you're seeing it start to snowball just a little bit. But Dignitas, if they can take this round right here, that could change the trajectory of where the next few rounds go.
Now with that kill coming on through, Empress and From the Shadows available, Showstopper and Bladestorm available for T1 on the inverse, so that Raze ultimate could look to turn things around. Looks like they want to queue things up towards A. That Spike still hovering right around mid, and I mean, anywhere they go, it's going to be either a 3v2 or a 3v3. As those smokes come out, Spyder going to come on through. Here's the Showstopper, now going to jump through, but his show is going to be stopped. It's Orderus to take down the imposter. That Spike has since moved over towards B site, but dephh, he's planted his feet, and he's going to find the kill onto AZK. He was not going to budge, not one bit, not at all. As a dash onto the site, Skadoodle going to dodge out on the shot, the fancy footwork, causing dephh to miss and that kill to come through. But that Spike is still down mid. Dignitas are still a man up, and T1 are out of time. Hey, it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there, and Dignitas will take that round win no matter how it happened.
They take the round win, but dephh drops the op there, and nobody had a chance to pick it up. So you know what? T1 may have lost the round, but they at least there were some wins in there. They got a couple of picks. They forced Dignitas away from that op, so now dephh doesn't have it anymore, and so that forces their economy to be just a little bit worse. Now you see T1, they have a full buy. Skadoodle's got the op right there. They still have a lot of creds left. Like, they're in a really good spot. So they lose that round, but they still have the upper hand as Spyder takes down Psalm very quickly right there.
And that right there, it's the duelists who get aggressive from Dignitas and get punished over and over. And it's hard to remain consistent when you're continuing to push every single angle on defense. So I don't blame them, but you have to stay alive to be that catalyst for your team. Now, Spyder gonna take his position on this site, and this is a bad spot for Dignitas. For Spyder to be here means that this site completely open. Now that Spike getting planted down, a Superman trying to find something on the way out. The shock darts come through, the wide swing comes through, and it's AZK and DaZeD for 2. It's all down to Orderus and dephh, and unfortunately for Dignitas, they're forced to just walk away from this one. That was a very quick take onto this B site, and Dignitas were completely stunned by it.
Yeah, I mean, Dignitas is just run away. They're gonna hunt you down, but run as best as you can and try to hide, try to save. It looks like we're about to have a run-in right here, but I mean you saw exactly what we just talked about. T1 with Brax taking dephh down right there. T1 still has an advantage because they win another gun round. They're going to force Dignitas into another light buy. They're going to force them to go eco again, and now it looks like they're going to be up 7-3, and Dignitas, they're going to be in a really bad spot if they don't win a round or two here. Ideally, best case scenario, they go into this 7-5, but we could very well see with the momentum T1 has, we could see Dignitas being down 9-3 on the switch, and that would be a huge deficit for them to come back from. And so far today, we've seen Dignitas go through a couple of streaks, but usually streaks when they have a cushion, whenever they have the lead. We haven't seen them have to come back. That's been T1. T1 has come out in the clutch all day long, and if they have a 9-3 lead going to the switch, it's going to be a big uphill climb for Dignitas. So this is a big round for them.
Yeah, a huge round, especially because they forced up, I'm pretty sure, across the board. Now Orderus not going to get too much of the showstopper. He's actually just going to get sat down instead. Supamen is there to trade, but that gun is too far to be picked up. So the Sheriff coming up huge. There's the Vandal from Psalm, but he's not expecting Spyder. The reaction time there from Spyder as he strikes Psalm down inside the showers. It's a 4v3, T1 on top, but Spyder on low HP. MAKKA looking for something with the shock darts, not able to find too much as Spyder, he just can't be stopped. You just can't stop saying this guy's name, especially on the Raze. He's been huge. As those shots come through, the Sheriff is in town, but it'd be sent on vacation. AZK gonna send him on vacation after that one. And it's a 1v3. dephh can't get it done. And that round was just so huge because Dignitas forced. Now they do get some extra credits for losing 2 in a row, but that loss bonus is not enough to put you in a position where you can full buy out. Had they saved, they may be looking at a better buy in this one, and their fate is a little more in their hands. Now they have to play the tight angles, and now, just like you said, Josh, T1 looking to close out this half 9-3, which is the best we've seen throughout the series thus far, and it's just gradually grown in favor of T1. It was 6-6, it was 7-5 for T1, now it's looking like 9-3.
Yeah, I mean, T1's just, they snowballed, and once they snowballed and they got that confidence, there hasn't really been much Dignitas has been able to do. And you see dephh and Orderus trying to force plays. That play by Orderus with the showstopper, jumping out there, missing, and then immediately going down. That can't happen. That can't happen from one of your best players on your team. And you see, as soon as T1 takes down Orderus in that spot, they start to roll on Dignitas, and then the advantage goes in their favor. And they're taking advantage of those little mistakes. And if you look at the board right now, Orderus and dephh, 2 names that have been at the top of Dignitas's list on map 1 and map 2, they're struggling a little bit, and T1 is continuing to force them to struggle as Orderus takes down brax finally, but then DaZeD and AZK taking down Psalm and Superman. I mean, T1 is just playing on point right now.
Yeah, on point. That's one of the best ways to put it. It's time and time again, they're able to find these early kills, and it's been Spyder who's been so huge on this team as dephh. Able to find one, but it's a stinger in hand, and now it's all up to dephh, who has the lockdown available. Not going to find the space, not going to find the time. Will find himself a paint shell, and that is not something that you want to incubate, but dephh doing his best impression of a mama bird, sits on top of that egg, and that round will go the way of T1. 9-3 in the half, and I don't know these players directly. I don't spend a whole lot of time hanging out, talking with these players, playing with these players, obviously. What do I know about Valorant when it comes to the top-level play? But what I will say is it does feel that Dignitas are playing a little tilted. They haven't been able to find their footing, and it's been Psalm and Orderus to kind of just play aggressive and almost play that solo queue style where you just look to go ham and carry the team by yourself. And that's not necessarily the case. You don't have to do that here in this one. So now that Dignitas are going to be mounting their attack, I'm hoping that these duelists can have themselves a nice, better time here, as we do have a tactical pause, I believe, for Dignitas. It was possibly,
I think, for T1, yes.
For T1. Okay, tactical pause for T1. So now this is a great place to do it. You swap the sides. You give yourself some time how you want to play out this defense. And it's times like these. It's times like these, and it's times like when Skadoodle got that spray down on 2 people. I wish I could hear in the comms as just like what they're saying, what's going through their heads. Like Skadoodle is just sending it, dying on the sword, and now coming into this one, T1 in a really strong position to close this out. So it would just be really nice to be able to get inside the heads of the players. So we need some kind of like mic check type tool You know how some of the companies will do their mic checks and it's just like the players' voices in game. That'd be super cool to hear.
That would be cool. See those inter-team comms. I would have loved to have been in the comms for T1 in between map 2 and map 3 when they were discussing that switch of Spyder onto Raze. Because so far that is the one adjustment from both of these teams all day that's been made that has just paid dividends. I also think somebody still texted Spyder and told him what we said about him, and so he's just popping off in this map because of what we said. And now we're on some list somewhere, and Spyder wants to take us out. He's gonna hunt us down in Valorant whenever we play. But that adjustment of putting Spyder on Raze and letting him be, giving him the chance to be aggressive has paid dividends for T1 in this map.
And now this piss round, incredibly huge. Skadoodle gonna get the first one. Frenzy in hand, looks for the reload, and Spyder's able to get another. So the odds still in favor T1 as they pick up 2 kills. Only 1 traded back, and dephh is not able to get it done. supamen, MAKKA, they gotta do something here as they do find 1 kill to jump on in, but DaZeD able to trade it back. MAKKA still alive. MAKKA has been clutch. That is the word we used with this player, but both players have jumped onto the site. The spray comes down, and brax from the top ropes will find the RKO onto MAKKA and the defuse for T1. That pistol round now makes it 10-3. And with this next bonus round, easily could be 11-3. I wonder how Dignitas, do they force here? They got the spike down.
I don't think they force here. I think that getting the spike down is enough to give them one more, but they needed to win that round. They needed to win that pistol round. Losing pistol rounds in a normal situation is tough, but losing pistol rounds when you're down 9-3 and now you're down 10-3, that they needed to absolutely win that round, get as much of an advantage early on as they can. And now they're going to have to do, it looks like they're going to do almost as much of a force buy as they can after losing that and getting the spike down. So let's see if Dignitas doesn't win this right here and they go down 11-3. This is going to be a very, very tough road for Dignitas to try to come back.
And they do opt into the force buy as they find a couple of kills pushing through. We finally see some signs of life for Dignitas. And it's when their backs are against the wall. They have completely taken this B site. DaZeD on the outside with the Bulldog. He uses just about every single round in the magazine before trying to teleport away. He's able to get a kill on the way out, but now things are looking dire for T1. brax finds a nice kill onto Orderus, so the duelists are dead. dephh is on low HP, so he'll be looking to play a tight corner, maybe play a bait here as MAKKA hanging out, spotting over towards the defender sided spawn. brax through hookah. Not going to get too much information here. And that turret holding things down towards long as the smokes come on through. That turret is going to spot brax. The paranoia to come out into the cubby. One will go, but it's supamen to find the kill. And now it's all up to AZK, and he's not able to get it done. The force pays off. Dig, strike back. And once more, it's when their backs were against the wall.
supamen getting that pick right there was huge for Dignitas, because if he doesn't get that, then they're surrounded and you had a low health dephh. They were in a tough spot right there, but Dignitas ends up pulling it out. Now they're in a much better spot. They can start to build an economy. They can start to buy some rifles. As you can see, Sam pulling out the Vandal, but this is still a large hill to climb. T1 had so much cushion. They could play it a little bit differently there. They didn't have to get that round win, and now they're in a really good spot to take this. But I love the aggression from Dignitas. Put pressure on them early. Get in there quickly, plant the spike, and force T1 to come in and retake.
Yeah, and now some teleporter baits to come on through. supamen able to find 1 kill, completely blind. Skadoodle on the back foot. It's going to be red for 3 across that kill feed. Now T1, again, not in the best position. You see, it was ghosts, it was classics, it was shorties. Not too much going on for this squad after losing that second round, picking up the pistol. But this next one going to be ever telling how this series will continue to play out. As shorty from downtown, it doesn't have the strength that it once did, as MAKKA forced away from the paint shells. And that's something you have to be afraid of. That right there, those paint shells from Spyder have been absolutely insane all day here. Just playing the geometry, playing the angles, and finding those kills with that utility is all you can ask from your Raze player. Now with that spike planted, T1, you just got to send it. You want the loss bonus here, so you might as well just head on out. At the very least, you can look to hurt the economy. As we see low HP on one. DaZeD almost getting spotted. is gonna look to peek here. Right clicks come through, not able to find the kill. Spyder is, though, able to trade it back, and some way, somehow, dephh stayed alive. He was the low HP, and it was Orderus to go down there at the end, but no harm, no foul with that Raze going down. Should be able to buy up here. At the very least, have a Spectre drop on over and the teammate to buy for them. Now we get to see T1 on their full buy. They won pistol, and they got that false sense of confidence. Hey, guys, we've got this. Then they lose that next round. Things get a little shaky. And Dignitas, they string a few together. They still have a long ways to go.
I mean, you see T1 has a major gun advantage here. I would be surprised if we saw Dignitas take this. They're still playing a little bit too passively. They're waiting for T1 to make moves. The one thing they've done well all day long is force T1 to play their style, play their game. And it seems like they're just playing into what T1 wants them to do right now. And so with T1 having the full buy and the gun advantage, as AZK takes down Orderus early on, this looks like this is going to be a round for T1. AZK just popping off, taking 2 down before he goes down. This looks like it's going to be a round for T1 and put Dignitas in an even tougher position.
Yeah, this would be a very tough position. Still some breathing room if you do go down in this one, but now it is all up to the Omen. It is all up to supamen, who gets flushed out and finds a kill. 7 HP as he teleports over to this B site. Not on the site, though. He's going to play towards long, and unfortunately will be answered by that teleporter coming through. Spyder gonna peek this corner, look to swing it wide, and he's gonna find the kill. supamen will fall. T1 they're able to get some rifles in their hands, and when the odds are even, they come out on top. Dignitas economy, not too bad. It's not too great. Maybe light armor across the board. The utility might not be full, but we know this team's not afraid to force to look for the win. So I think that's exactly what we see here. And 11 rounds. You're staring at 11 rounds. If you're going to turn on, it's right now. If something goes bad, then you're looking at match point. It's not the end of the world. You can still try to battle back. But Dignitas, they've got to get it done. You lose this one, and you're back in that paradox of having the buy to the eco. Yep,
and T1, if you win this one right here, you lose. If you're Dignitas and you lose this to T1 right here, you're gonna T1's gonna have match point, and then you're going back into an eco round. And right now, as you do a force buy, you've still got a bulldog on your side, while T1 has all the rifles, has all the utility. I mean, this is Dignitas got into a big hole early, and it's been difficult for them to come back from, and they need to make big plays to even have a chance.
If they do have to do that, it will take a Herculean effort for Dignitas to battle back. At the very least, 6 in a row to tie things up, which they don't even have 6 wins. So to be able to string 6 in a row could be difficult, as that turret is going to be enough to bait out an op shot. Spyder trying to do what he can with the paint shells once more, but it's Dignitas 4-2 as they storm onto this B site. DaZeD now in the back of the site, looking to make a play, is able to push through back of the spawn. DaZeD picks up one, dephh goes good for another, but DaZeD is not done yet. He is the only member alive, and as I say that, dephh finds a 3K. You put an operator in just about anybody's hands on this Dignitas team, and they find a way to make it work. This time around, it was dephh, who was just barely trailing supamen. And something that we noted earlier, now on attack, the duelists typically have a bit more leeway, have a bit more fun with it, right? You have your Leer to open things up, your Boombot for some information while you push onto the site. But the duelists have been pretty quiet for Dignitas. It's supamen and dephh up top. So now we need to see something come out from your agents that are supposed to be your fraggers, that are supposed to pop off here. So Orderus and Psalm, we're looking at you guys for the next few rounds here to be able to pick something up.
We've seen Orderus step up a little bit more the last couple of rounds, which I like to see. I think things are starting to get pretty interesting on the Dignitas side. Picking up that op without needing to buy it was absolutely huge for them. Saves a little bit of their economy. But I mean, it's still an uphill climb, but they're in a much better spot than they were now by getting that round. That was a massive round, and now they just have to string together a bunch of round wins to try to have a chance at this. Play it smart, play it slow, and let T1 come to you. Force them into mistakes the same way they've been doing that to you the entire map.
And quite a bit of noise made over towards Hookah. Not too much to follow as the rotation has come through. It is Dignitas now looking to make a play towards A. AZK, though, playing in an off angle, not looking to use that paranoia through U-Haul there or lamps. but instead behind the truck. 14 HP on Skadoodle as that Killjoy ultimate going to be used. Superman goes good for 2 and make it a 3rd as Skadoodle will fall. It's a 3K for the Dignitas Omen, and MAKKA, he's got the flank under control. Now, brax. We've seen a couple of aces from this player, but neither of them were with the frenzy, so this would take one hell of a play here from the Cypher as he does manage to find one, but on 10 HP, that might be all he gets. And now the hunt will ensue as he didn't grab a gun, but Dignitas going to make sure that he does not walk away with one, does not save one, does have that neural theft available, but man, that would be a very ballsy play. He would be the most confident man in the world if he went for the neural theft trying to clutch out the round. It's Supamen with the 4K at the top of the leaderboard. That Omen looking very strong here for Dignitas. We're still waiting to see that pickup, but in that round, an eco round, it was pretty big for everybody on that board. It was almost not necessarily a team ace, but the last 2 rounds, everybody has stepped it up as we see that 4K come through on the replay. So Dignitas not out of it just yet. We said it's going to take 6 in a row. They hadn't had 6 wins at that time, but they do get 2 in a row, and they are headed in the right direction here. And now the Arsenal will be matched by T1, as it looks like maybe a push over towards A as that spike lays down just outside the teleporter.
Well, Dignitas got themselves out of that the weird spot that we were talking about as Orderus goes down to brax. Orderus starting to make some big plays for Dignitas, taking AZK down as well. Like we talked about them needing to get out of that weird back and forth between rifles eco, gun by eco, gun, and they finally seem to have done that. Now they're starting to roll a little bit, and it's on the backs of Supamen and honestly MAKKA. The last couple of rounds has come up big, been in the right position for them, gotten a couple of picks, and they all need to step up. None more so than Orderus, but you see that right there. Orderus at any point can turn the page.
Yep, and it's rifles in the hands of T1 as they find themselves 2 members down. Spyder gonna get tagged, but not gonna be answered with the Hunter's Fury just yet. That showstopper is available. There's the Hunter's Fury that I was just talking about, and it is able to get a bit of damage as the no scope to come through, and MAKKA finds Skadoodle through garden as he dashes back in. What a shot by the Hunter's Fury. What a shot by the Sova as Spyder tries to do what he can. Unfortunately from Hookah, it's not going to be enough. It is 1 kill to be traded. It is 4 members still alive, and it is Dignitas who are starting to string a few together. And it is Dignitas who have now put T1 in that eco paradox. It's a buy round followed by a save round. This should be a nice pickup for them to get them to 9 round wins. And then come the next one, they'll have to answer back to those rifles. But for this next one, there's a bit of breathing room.
This is similar to what T1 did to Dignitas in map 2. Being down by a fairly large deficit and then coming back to win it, while Dignitas just sat there at 11 wins. And so if Dignitas, now they've got all the money, they've got all the guns, they've got all the confidence, they need to take this momentum and keep pushing, keeping aggressive. With MAKKA taking out brax right there, look, they're putting the pressure on. Now they're playing their style, they're playing at their speed, and it's working out for them every single time. As DaZeD gets a big pick on Orderus right there with the sheriff though.
A nice pick, 1 HP he's able to skirt away with, so not going to be too much unless it's a hero shot from downtown, as the drone is able to spot a couple out up over towards heaven or this defender sided spawn. So we get that nice little zoom in. We see everybody stacked up, 3 members in lamps. One going to be playing just underneath heaven and may just be spotted. Coming on out, it's the Bucky from downtown, but that's a shotgun at max range. Unfortunately, it's not enough. And now we jump back on board with DaZeD with 1 HP. It's going to take 1 HP in a dream is what we like to say around here. And that spike is ticking down. He's trying to get the shots out. And again, you do not want to save. You do not want the credits there. Only 1,200 had he saved in that round. So now the full loss bonus will come through. T1 will find themselves with rifles once more across the board, and Dignitas. Now, this is where boys become men. This is where girls become women, right? This is a very important round for Dignitas to win, because if they pick this up, they kick T1 down to the curb again, it'll be sticks and stones for that economy, and we could be tied up at 11s.
Yeah, I mean, on the other side of this is a massive round for T1 to try to pull it together. where they were just rolling, they snowballed. And Dignitas, really honestly, I don't feel like this is a big round for them to win as much as it is a round where T1 has to try to find a way to go to match point. Because if they don't here, they're going to be at a massive disadvantage in every sense of the word, and Dignitas is going to have every advantage going into this. And right now, one of the things I don't like is it already looks like Dignitas is playing a little bit passive. The aggressive, pushing the tempo, pushing the pace style that they've had the last few rounds is why they've gotten back to where they are. And they're pulling back just a little bit and playing a little bit more passive than I'd like to see them play.
Yeah, and so I've been watching these Reynas play in this scene, right? And a lot of the times they hang on to this Empress, and granted it is only playing for match point here, but at what point do we see that come through? As the From the Shadows comes through, onto the back of the site they will go as DaZeD finds one kill. That's the Empress down. There's the neural theft, and unfortunately brax caught with his hat in his hands, not able to turn that one around. Spyder though, on the outside, tosses out the ultimate. Unfortunately, that spike being planted inside the box, and Skadoodle is smoked off. The site has been completely cordoned from the inside and the outside, and AZK is able to find one kill onto MAKKA, and I would say 3v4 T1 looking to pick this one up. It is their round to win, and as you said, to regain this momentum that they've lost for the last few rounds. But they are playing against the clock, so if they are going to pull the trigger, they have to do it now before they run out of time. Shots coming out from the box. Kills going to be traded back and forth. The Skadoodle back on the board, but it's dephh and supamen to go shoot. AZK still alive. Wow. He swings around, but it's a 3K for supamen.
dephh and Superman especially coming out big there. That is a huge round loss for T1. Honestly, that's a soul-crushing loss. You're up. Last we talked about, Dignitas needed to make a 6-round run. You're up 11-5, and to let them come back within 1 round right there. Now your economy is in shambles. You have no guns. You can only do an eco round right now, except for DaZeD. This is a tough spot for T1 to be in, and Dignitas could tie it up right now. This is exactly what T1 did to Dignitas in Ascent, and we saw Ascent was T1's map. Well, guess what? This is Dig's map, and Dig is showing why they've been so successful on this map so far.
Yep, they are doing just that as they look to tie things up. The ultimate's available. The Empress once more for Psalm, not able to get that one off in that last round as we saw him fall quite early, jumping out of hookah. And the Hunter's Fury going to be available for days. So at the very least can look to stop a plant, can look to find kills across the map if they do get attacked. So that ultimate going to be used to buy some time at the very least, as Orderus playing a tight angle, expecting some aggression from T1. But again, the economy doesn't really allot it unless they went with SMGs here on this forced buy. You would not see any aggression to come out from T1. But with all that being said, A site completely open. The cam is still there, so brax will have the information that they are pushing up. But Dignitas, they must know something's in the water. They must know something that we don't, as that Empress is finally going to be used on the round that could tie things up. The camera to be taken down and that dart to be removed. All 5 members for both teams are still available and alive for this retake. It is going to be a 5v5 as T1 do not have necessarily the arsenal to be able to do just that and mount this defense, but they are going to try their darndest. A Sheriff, very huge in the hands of these professional players, as dephh going to hold this angle towards short, and it is going to be a slow creep across the map.
I don't mind Dignitas playing slow right here. They have the range advantage, they have the gun advantage, they get to play a little bit passive and just let T1 come to them. No reason to force it. You've got the spike down, just play smart.
Shots traded back and forth. AZK is able to grab one with that Sheriff. This is a weird spot to be, because outside of these kills to follow, the economy's not great anymore for T1. If you're going to lose that round, just go in and die and get that full buy bonus. Now you see light armors to come through. You see a glass cannon operator on Skadoodle. That was an incredibly awkward play there, as they chose to hang on to their pistols rather than just falling by the wayside. Maybe they know something that I don't, but we do know that on patch 1.12, if you're on the defending side, it is going to be, if that spike is planted, you only get 1,000 credits for saving. So an awkward spot to be, and it puts, when things are even, or should be even, you see it's the armor that is now separating these teams, and Man, that was an awkward play, as we do have now Dignitas' tactical pause, as we are all tied up at 11. I said it would take 6 rounds in a row, and they did that. That is like the ultimate, like, best caster curse for Dignitas. Everything that I say, it typically goes the other way. And so I had cursed them down to not string 6 in a row, but they did just that. Now they take a pause and they have a breather. They say, hey guys, this is a very close game. They're going to be buying this round. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, and you know what I like right here by Dignitas is they're going all Vandals. You know, there's you would assume that dephh or Orderus would take the op right here. Probably dephh. Deph's been on the op all throughout this map to combat the op by Skadoodle, but they know that they couldn't, and not everybody could buy full armor. And so why not go full Vandals, full armor, and just give yourself a little bit more of a reason to be more aggressive. Jump in there, dive in there, and know you can probably get some of these kills. You have the advantage. It's not a massive advantage, but it's definitely a decent sized advantage for Dignitas to go into match point. And so T1 really needs to make this work. Skadoodle needs to be more on point right now in this round than he has been all day.
Yeah, this is going to be huge for either squad. An elbow spotted. The Lear comes out. He tries to play to not get blinded, and he's forced to dash away. It's glass cannon on the operator. It's 20 HP on the operator. As he dashes away, he gets spotted out. The Hunter sure he's going to be traded, and Skadoodle goes down. DaZeD is able to trade it back, and AZK gets on the board here for T1. They have the man advantage, but only for a split second as dephh evens the odds. It's a 3v3 as Psalm gets spotted out by the Owl drone. Brax gonna find the kill through the wall, and now on the back of the site they will go. Supamen goes Super Saiyan to find that kill up into heaven. Spyder's able to trade it back, and we find ourselves in a 1v1, and it's Supamen to fall. It's T1 after the pause to come back. They figured it out. They have the answers, and now they push to match point.
I mean, it looked rough right there for Skadoodle in the beginning, but then he found ways to continue to escape. If Skadoodle had gone down quickly at the very beginning and Dignitas hadn't spent so much time worrying about him, I think they would have had more time to set up, more time to get the spike down and get ready for a retake. But just the maneuvering by Skadoodle to get away from that gave his teammates enough time to come in and get ready for a retake, and that was very, very well played by T1.
And now with those kills coming through, being traded back and forth, there was a 4v5 as far as deaths go. The economy hurt a little bit, right? Dig stringing some wins together. They're sitting okay. They're sitting nice and pretty. Is Skadoodle going to be challenged? Skadoodle going to be taken down. This time he had full armor. But what a huge kill to come through from dephh to kick things off. And we could possibly see ourselves in overtime. 1:20 left in the round. And T1 getting a bit antsy, looking to play aggressive here.
The one thing that's done well for them all day long on defense has been playing aggressive. So I don't mind this at all. Anytime they've sat back and they've allowed Dignitas to go get set up and play aggressively without playing aggressive back, as MAKKA takes down DaZeD right there, it hasn't worked out for T1. So I don't mind this. It just comes down to making the plays. Can they make the plays that they need to when they play aggressive? And right now, Dignitas is the team that's making those plays. As brax takes down Orderus and Superman takes down brax. Now we got a 3v2 in favor of Dignitas.
And it's just back and forth, but it's the judge in the hands of Spyder as that satchel charge goes through, and the teleporter gonna be taken. So it's Psalm versus Spyder here in the 1v1. This is the decider. This is game 3, and it does not get any sweatier than this. I would imagine Spyder has since been able to pick up a weapon, so no longer a judge in his hands, but we will see who comes out on top. Dignitas trying to take us to overtime. T1 trying to close us out, and it's Spyder to find the kill. It's T1 to take this game. It was Dignitas's map to win, but instead, Dig will find themselves in the loser's bracket as that defuse comes through.
I mean, just a great. It was kismet that Spyder ends up making the play.